So we're practicing the second part of Seiunchin, the self-defense, or otherwise known as the Bunkai. It starts with motions that are often called the peace motion. Basically, the hand behind the head is from the perspective of the front of me, is hidden so that people can't see it. But it's also open in a sign of I'm not quite ready to deal out self-defense or retaliation just yet. The other hand is down here waiting, it's in preparation and blocking, covering me. I'm just waiting, I'm prepared. When Sensei Chris comes at me, one idea could be that he comes to kick me and I block it. Now if I block it successfully and it comes down and he's a skilled person, he might come at me again, so therefore it would precipitate me having to do 2 in a row, which is what the kata depicts. Another idea I like to use from a jiu-jitsu kind of concept is if he were to grab me, let's say with his left hand in this case, it could be a wrist release. So I like to use it more for that than the blocking of the kick. So I would come over and I would trap it down. I like that a lot. It's safer and it provides the ability for me to grab and be ready. So if he were to grab me, for instance, with his left to my left, I would block, and then the next move after those 2 motions would be a step through with a hammer, which honestly works very well. If he grabs me with the other hand, same idea. I come back, I clear him, I come through. The only thing that changed would be the receiving target of my hammer fist. Regardless, it works. So, he grabs me with his hand, let's say in this scenario. What I'd like you to do as you practice this is do it with the right hand grabbing the left hand just so it matches the kata specifically and correct. In time, you would need to be able to work with that on both sides, regardless of the attacker, and you have to be able to make it work for whatever scenario. So he grabbed me, I step back and I clear it, I hit him. Now the next move typically would be that somebody's coming from my back corner, probably his accomplice. But I mentioned in Seisan's video that I like to do the self-defenses if there's just one person. So the motion would be I hit him, and then I would turn and I would block the other person, which for me isn't as realistic. But if I do this motion and I hit him, and then as I turn, I keep him, and I come around and I push down with that low block motion, and love that as a self-defense technique, as a takedown. That works very well for me. So we just did the motion where we came out of the peace position and we came through and hammered. And then the next piece would be where I turn and do a double block. Again, I don't really like to do that for somebody behind me. I don't feel that sews together very well. But I do like that piece for what it's worth from the attack. So Sensei Chris comes at me maybe with 2 hands. I like this motion as a double-handed block. I mentioned earlier that this kata is known a lot for a lot of double motions with the hands at the same time. In fact, more so than any other kata in my experience. So when he comes at me, I want to get him probably before he gets a hold of me. It's a little harder once the grips are in. From that point, I've cleared him, and then I would come in and I would hit him 3 times. Hitting 3 times will disorient the person at different levels, neurologically and mentally, so that you can continue to defeat that person. So he comes at me, I block him, I hit him 3 times. The next piece would be I would step away and clear. So that works in this piece. I hit him 3 times, I step away. If I can keep his hand, the low block that comes next could be an arm bar. Or it could be I hit him 3 times and for whatever reason he still has a little bit of fight in him, so he comes back with a kick maybe, and I step back and I block him there. So in review, he comes at me, I block, I hit him 3 times, he comes to kick, I block. Unrealistic in my opinion after you've hit them 3 times. He comes to grab, second scenario, I hit him 3 times. If I can grab him, I now have the low block to control and continue to injure him. The next piece just handles the same situation, but also it deals with maybe a little bit more space or distance between the person. So Sensei Chris comes at me and I block him similarly because it's the same attack. He comes at me and I block. Maybe though I have more room so that if I were to step in with my front foot, I wouldn't be able to reach. So I block and it requires me to step through. So the first one was a lead leg attack. The second one is a rear leg. So as I block, I have more space, so it just allows me to do the motion from a further distance. And then, same idea, I grab them and maybe this low block motion becomes an armbar. Let's just do that piece real quickly. So Mr. Wall is here. He steps through and he does the hammer and the uppercut, and then the person comes from the back corner. Here's where he blocked my two arms and he hits me with the front hand because in his mind, he realizes that the distance worked for that front hand. He does 1, 2, 3, steps back, he blocks my kick, or again, does it as an armbar potentially. Then the next person attacks, or another different scenario, he steps through this time because the distance and timing required it. 2, 3, steps back and low blocks. The last section of Seiunchin just has a few more motions and we can do that pretty quickly. So the next two pieces are called breaking the bear hug. As Christopher comes in and grabs me from behind, the idea is to get back into a cat stance, jump my hips out a little bit to create a little bit of imbalance for him. As you saw, he stumbled just a little bit and I was just doing it slow. As I hit him with my hips, I then start to bring my arms up in a jaws of life motion, and as I come out, it rotates. Not as easy to do as it looks. Sometimes it creates or needs a softening motion. And typically the motion of the hips coming back is enough to do that, or other motions, but we'll stick within the kata for now. So the motion is this in essence. Now, then the next one would be just the other side if that was needed, just having both sides. I do like to use it though as a frontal bear hug defense as well. So if Mr. Wall comes at me from the front to grab me and to take me down, and as he grabs me, I pull back into cat stance to create that little bit of imbalance you just saw. My hands come up and I come out, and as you can see, I got him again. I kept him here, and it allowed for me to open him, but also hit him with an elbow. And if I continue to the next move, the next elbow could just be a striking elbow versus a breaking the bear hug elbow. So again, we were here, we went 1 and 2. Kind of what it looks like. It's pretty straight and simple. The last piece is I'm standing here, I step through and I hit. So maybe I broke his bear hug and I went like this, and then I grab him and I come through and I strike him to finish that scenario. So from here, 1, 2, 3. That works. It's kind of what it looks like. There's no funniness to that. It's what it appears. The last piece is just, again, an attack either from front and back. He grabs me from the behind, probably under the arm bear hug. I push back into a cat stance so that he loses his balance. I come up, and then the two motions that are next are a motion to make him let go. I come down and I elbow him on his arms, his hands, and he'll let go for sure. Or if he's coming at me from the front, I'm going to pull back and I'm going to intercept, or maybe he actually gets a hold of me. I come back and here's the two elbow strikes down on his hands to make him let go, and then I clear him away. I prefer the rear attack version of that, just for the record. Hi guys, we just finished up the video taping of Seiunchin's Bunkai and self-defense. What I just really wanted a quick and closing talk about is that the theme of that kata has two for me. It has a lot of heaviness, as we would see in judo, so the motion of settling your weight so the person can't move you, but also then the motion of, or the action of moving. So if you were to follow just the footwork of Seiunchin, it has a lot of motion that if I were attacked and grabbed onto, I would be moving kind of in a judo-like way. So for me, the motion of doing this, if you speed up the film and move, it has all of that in the kata. Or if it were a striking, kicking, punching kind of scenario, same idea. I realized years ago that when I was doing my self-defense in a punching, kicking kind of way, I was moving a lot like that. If you take out the stringent horse stance stability of it, and you speed it up a little bit and loosen it up a little bit, it moves very much the way we would move in the martial arts. So we'll do more of that in the future, but I just wanted to give you a quick look at that. Thank you.